walking up to that center was just a random gentleman, but he caught my eye because he seemed out of place.
That woman claims she spotted Travis Decker in Idaho weeks ago. Now at 7 o'clock, we're going to hear more from her about that experience, why she says her tip was not taken seriously. Plus,
this just affects everyday lives.
Layoffs at ODOT-PGE and now Intel. A look at who will be impacted here.
And we also have some new reaction to this Oaks Park ride. It's coming to the theme park sometime next year, but a lot of people say it's going to impact hundreds of bird species in a negative way. We'll have more on that story coming up here during the 7 o'clock hour of Sunrise.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us live at 7 o'clock. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Chris McGinnis, Rod Hill also with us to start the 7 o'clock hour. Rod, you predicted clouds today. We didn't see clouds at first, but we're starting to see.
They're starting to roll in. Now, this is a gradual process, so we're just now starting to see the first clouds of any kind show up over downtown Portland. It's been a beautiful clear sky start. Enjoy, because in the coming hours, we'll see the clouds continue to roll in from the north and from the west. So we're at 62. It's absolutely a nice start to our day. Still mainly clear over the state capital, 58 degrees. So clouding over, and that will help keep temperatures way down. We've hit 90 the last 2 days. 70 at noon today and a very comfortable 75 under a cloudy sky at 5 p.m. No rain, just clouds and cooler temperatures, Chris.
Yeah, definitely sounds comfortable. All right, let's get you out the door. We start off in Clark County where the clouds are rolling in as the traffic rolls in. This is I-5 up near the Discovery Trail crossing, so not far from Main Street. That's kind of where the end of the line is, and from there, you're puttering along at about 17 miles an hour down to the Interstate Bridge. There's a live look at SR 14. So at last check, we're looking at about 20 minutes now to get you down to the Fremont from the Main Street area. We'll switch gears, take you over to the Banfield. I-84 westbound, slow and go, coming through Hollywood, of course. We expect that this hour of a Wednesday morning drive. The trip from Wilsonville still looks pretty good, but 84 and Highway 26 are bunching up right now. 84 westbound, just shy of 20 to get you in from Troutdale. A solid 15 of that gets you from Gateway to the I-5 split. Drew, China?
All right, thank you, Chris. Topping our news headlines here at 7 o'clock, a woman whose family owns a cabin outside of Idaho City believes she may have been the first person to spot Travis Decker in Idaho weeks ago before law enforcement follow up on 2 separate sightings this past weekend.
She says she did notify Washington authorities, but that her tip wasn't taken seriously. Don Nelson with our sister station, Idaho City, had a chance to speak with her about her experience.
Jennifer Rice just left Gentry's outpost in Idaho City on June 18th when she spotted something she thought was unusual.
Practically walking up to that center was just a random gentleman, but he caught my eye because he seemed out of place.
Why did he catch your eye, and why did he seem out of place?
He had a bedding roll that you would sleep on, but there was no sleeping bag. And so I thought, well, what is he going to do with that? And his backpack wasn't big enough to have been stuffed with a sleeping bag. And so it just didn't make sense. Are you sleeping or are you not sleeping?
Rice had heard of the story of Travis Decker, a suspect wanted for the homicide and kidnapping of his 3 daughters, who were 5, 8, and 9 years old in Washington state in June. So she first called authorities in Washington.
They listened to me, but that didn't seem to, if I remember correctly, the comment was, we know where he is and we know what's happening, but we'll write this down.
Rice was frustrated. Even her husband doubted anyone could make it from central Washington to Idaho City without being seen. Fast forward to late last night, Monday, July 7th. Rice got up to let her dog outside, looked at her phone, and saw the reports that Decker may have been seen in the Sawtooth National Forest.
They saw him in Idaho?
Tuesday morning, she sent Idaho News 6 an email. I asked her to come by because I wanted to hear her story. I then sent an email to the U.S. Marshal's office asking if they were still interested in tips on their 1-800 number. Moments before she arrived, this happened.
But then I didn't hear anything, and I was coming to talk to you, and my phone rang on the way over here, and a gal from the U.S. Marshal's office, she wanted to get more information. So I got excited after she told me who she was, and I was like, hold on, I've got to pull over, because I was just so happy someone was listening.
And what did she say specifically? How credible your information was? What did she say?
Well, she let me tell my whole story, and then she said, wow, that's pretty good. This is probably the most detail we've received so far.
In Washington County, a man who was recently convicted of killing his estranged wife nearly 40 years ago has been sentenced to life in prison. 71-year-old Robert Atraps will be eligible for parole after 25 years. Back in 1980, the body of Debbie Atraps was found in the trunk of an abandoned car at a remote Beaverton construction site. DNA evidence helped investigators in the cold case unit link Robert to the murder. During the trial this past spring, the state noted that Robert showed no emotion. However, that changed yesterday when his daughter addressed the court prior to his sentencing.
When I was 8 months old, someone robbed me of getting to have a life with my mom, there to support my every milestone. My first birthday, kindergarten graduation, 8th grade promotion, high school graduation, my wedding.
While she spoke about the pain of losing her mother, she testified in support of her father and asked the judge for a lighter sentence.
Words cannot even begin to describe the heartache my family is going through. My children cry because they miss their grandpa.
Atraps' attorneys say they plan to appeal.
The man accused in a deadly attack on Hayden Island has pleaded not guilty to killing Richard Bowers. That's the man you see in this photo here. Authorities say Bowers died of blunt force trauma. So 68-year-old Timothy Hudson is accused of attacking Bowers, his girlfriend, and her dog. Court documents show Hudson told investigators the indictment, or the incident that is, stemmed from a drunken brawl. He's due back in court next month.
This morning, we're hearing from one of the 500 ODOT employees being laid off in a few weeks. ODOT is facing the largest single layoff in Oregon state government history after lawmakers failed to come up with a major funding plan this past session. Workers got notices on Monday saying that they will lose their jobs at the end of the month. And up to 200 more people could be laid off early next year. We spoke with a woman losing her part-time job along with much of the crew in Wheeler County.
I'm okay. I'm going to be fine, and I know the guys will be fine. It's just, it's a shock. It's one big shock.
Governor Tina Kotek is calling the cuts, which could impact everything from road maintenance to snow removal, an emergency, but has not called a special session so far.
We're covering other job cuts this morning as well. Portland General Electric confirms that it's laid off 53 full-time employees. In a statement, a PGE spokesperson said the layoffs are part of the company's, quote, ongoing work to keep bills as low as possible. The statement also pointed to cost pressures from increased electricity demand, while PGE is also transitioning to cleaner energy. And Intel, one of the region's largest employers, is laying off more than 500 workers at 4 Oregon campuses starting next Tuesday. That's according to a notice filed with the state yesterday. The biggest of those cuts is happening at Intel's Jones Farm campus in Hillsboro, where 450 workers will lose their jobs. The positions cut include engineers, architects, and managers. This comes after the company announced plans to lay off between 15 and 20% of its workforce worldwide.
The Oregon Zoo says it had a successful condor season this year. 11 healthy chicks have hatched. The chicks will stay with their parents for at least 8 months before moving to pre-release pens for about a year in California. Condors almost went extinct in the late 80s with only 22 left in the wild, but now efforts like the one at the Oregon Zoo have restored their population to 560 birds. So now we go to our resident Oregon Zoo correspondent, not you, Drew Carney, who knows
nice.
all the details because of
Drew at the
Drew's
zoo. Drew at the zoo. I'll say this. Some people love the zoo, right? We know that. Some people love the zoo. Other people, not big fans of the zoo. They say, oh, those animals shouldn't be kept in captivity like that. There is a lot of work going on behind the scenes at the zoo when it comes to conservation. I can tell you that much for sure, and this is one example of that. They've been doing this program with the condors for years, and man, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that there were 22 left in the world. Yeah. And they brought in those 22 and said, we've got to do something with this species. We're going to use these 22 to bring it back. And the efforts have really worked. More than 500 now out there in the wild.
Incredible.
Yeah, impressive story, no doubt. Thank you, Mr. Carney, our Drew at the zoo expert. All right, beautiful morning underway for some of us. We do have cloudy skies, not that that's not beautiful, but clouds up and down the coast, and clouds are starting to come toward Portland from the north. Now, our Timberline camera is still showing a deep blue sky. It is 55 degrees. Probably looking at a high up there, despite it's 55 right now, probably only getting up to about 62 or 63 at most. Expected to be about 65 down at Government Camp. Here's the Wells Fargo camera. You can see the blue, but if you look off to the north, there are clouds, and they are slowly encroaching down toward the city. Our Futurecast models have been showing Portland clouding over somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Right now it's 7:10, so we'll see. We do know it's cloudy over an increasing part of Clark County right now. Battleground's 59. Good morning to you. It's 58 in Beaverton, still sunny and sunny in West Lynn, 59. It's still clear as you drop south. 58 in Salem and Kaiser. It's 54 down in Corvallis this morning. Here's Futurecast. I mean, it's maybe ahead of schedule, but at 8 o'clock, it likes cloudy skies. Again, we do have clouds and fog along the coast right now. And there's a shower threat up around Long Beach and Astoria for some light stuff, and then farther north up towards Seattle. This is noon today, and then staying cloudy this afternoon. So if the cloud forecast comes true, we'll only be about 75 in the Rose City after being up to 90 the last couple days. So enjoy the cool off. It will be sunny to partly cloudy central and eastern areas of our state. Bend, Sun River, Madras expected to stay dry, but there's a thunderstorm threat off to the east, and it will be a windy day coming out of the gorge as westerlies will be back up to about 40 miles per hour. Portland 75, 78 clouds, then sun tomorrow, and then just like that, we're back to sunny, right about 90-degree weather Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for your upcoming weekend, and that is your forecast. Here's Chris.
Rod, thanks for that. Let's take you over to Clackamas County. I-205 southbound starting to plug up a little bit down near Gladstone, and I'll slap the speed sensor on there. About 16 miles an hour now. The commute from there down to the Abernathy Bridge. So the normal slow and go action on that side of town. Switching gears, 205 out of Clark County looks good. I-5 needs a little help. And that's normal for this hour, of course, of a Wednesday morning drive. The slowing starts right around Main Street, and from there, pretty thick down to the Interstate Bridge at this point. So give yourself a few extra minutes for that. Keeping it in Clark County, starting at 8 o'clock this morning, northbound, exit 11, I-5 northbound to SR 502. That's going to be closed from 8 to 12 as WashDOT continues installing some of their wrong way driver detection technology. So again, exit 11 northbound, that'll be closed for about 4 hours starting at 8 o'clock. Drew?
Thank you, Chris.
So here the priority is man and his recreation, and there the priority is the survival of the critters that depend upon that space. And this is where the two meet.
Coming up on Sunrise, a battle between recreation and conservation. Why some advocates say a new ride coming to Oaks Park could harm local wildlife. Sunrise, streaming live here at 7 o'clock, continues after this.
But first, we want to remind you that the KGW School Supply Drive is coming soon, so now is the time to get on board. Go to kgw.com/school to sign up your business or organization to be an official school supply drive collection site. Help us collect school supplies and send thousands of kids and teachers in the area back to school with all the tools they need.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back to Sunrise. We have new reaction this morning to the 135-foot tall drop tower ride that's coming to Oaks Park in Southeast Portland.
Environmental advocates are concerned about light pollution from the ride, saying the city is going back on its commitment to protect specific birds. Catherine Cook brings us the update.
So here the priority is man and his recreation, and there the priority is the survival of the critters that depend upon that space. And this is where the two meet.
From a shady spot on the Springwater Trail, Marianne Nelson sheds light on an effort to reduce man-made light coming from Oaks Park to protect migratory birds, specifically birds that frequent the wildlife refuge at Oaks Bottom.
Do you know how they migrate? They go thousands of miles. What do they use? Starlight.
Nelson is with Friends of Oaks Bottom, which helps maintain this area. Wildlife advocates argue you can't see the stars over light pollution, something they fear will shoot straight out of this 135-foot drop tower ride headed to Oaks Park. The city's Permitting and Development Office approved zoning code changes requested by Oaks Park, allowing the ride. One change increased the property's height limit by more than 100 feet. Another allows the park to install lights on the tower that are not downward facing and shielded. Friends of Oaks Bottom and Bird Alliance of Oregon filed an appeal with the city, but lost.
I mean, all we were asking is that they put their lights down.
The city's ruling did offer compromise points. They lowered the original building height request by about 12 feet. And during October, when the park stays open later, the tower's lights will be limited to red and orange hues after sunset. In a statement, Oaks Park said it's grateful for the support of local officials in achieving a solution that allows them to bring a, quote, exciting new attraction to the community, noting they worked with lighting and wildlife experts to help reduce potential impact. Nelson disagrees.
So what it basically boils down to is human recreation over nature.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Who's excited that we're all going to ride that ride?
No. You want to ride the ride? Rod loves the golf course out there.
It's really a nice mini golf course, yeah.
And I really like Oaks Park too, but I suggest we do our next we're doing a KGW event, by the way, this weekend at the Pickles game.
The Pickles
game.
Yeah, big KGW event at the Pickles game this weekend.
Yeah.
But maybe the next KGW event could be at Oaks Park.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and we're going to go on the ride. And
The drop tower ride.
And we're going to do a close-up on your face.
I wonder, though, getting back to Catherine's story, part of that, the lady Catherine interviewed, that when the light's facing down, not shooting straight up, it doesn't sound like that was compromised. I just wonder why. But anyway, interesting story.
It's the second time it's been around the news, because when Oaks Park first mentioned this ride was coming, there was some talk about this. Now it's getting louder. It doesn't show up at the park until next year.
Okay.
We'll see what the complaints are like when it actually hits the surface.
Well, the complaint is it drops too quickly. That's my complaint. Here's a look at the satellite radar. This is a push of cooler weather sweeping in. It is producing rain in western Washington at this hour. There's a chance of rain down the coast to Astoria. You see some showers offshore from Long Beach right now. We have clouds and fog along the coast, and we have a march of cloud cover that is sweeping across southwest Washington and starting to go south toward Portland. I still expect Portland to cloud over in the coming hours. It's been a beautiful, mostly clear start. This is our main concern map. Red flag warning or fire weather warnings are up today, starting at 11 a.m. Two different reasons. From White Salmon to Dalles Outdoor Pendleton, this is strictly because of wind. A dry day, not as hot as yesterday. Yesterday there was a heat advisory. You're up to about 100. Now most areas are going to stay shy of 90. But west winds with the cooler weather ignite, and they'll be gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour, and fear that if there are some sparks, those winds will quickly, fan the flames. Now the fire danger down around Lakeview and then up into parts of Baker County. This is for potential thunderstorm activity later today. Of course, lightning can start new fire starts. So central eastern areas of our state, gusty west winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour. The gorge, the Columbia Basin, possible dry lightning eastern Oregon. Okay. Futurecast shows the cloud march. Here we are at noon. Some showers up in western Washington. Maybe a trace of rain up around Seattle. Here come the thunderstorms developing the afternoon, south central and eastern Oregon. Not a ton of activity, but some. Notice still cloudy in Portland, and here are morning clouds on Thursday. Tomorrow will be all dry. Does not appear to be a storm chance anywhere, and we will see increasing sun after some clouds to start on your Thursday. But out of all of that, the big story for Portland, Salem, and Vancouver, much cooler today. Most of us will hold in the 70s. Now, it's still clear out in many areas. If you look to the right, You can see some cloudiness starting to appear in this view, 62 over the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. The shadows, meaning it's sunny over downtown Portland. The bricks are dry. The bricks will not be hot today. We hit 90 each of the last 2 days. Right now, 62. Afternoon temps will be in the 70s. 57 in Astoria, again, clouds and fog along the coast currently. And then it's sunny out east. Ben's at 64. Baker City shares that number. Pendleton is at 73. Valley forecast. Increasing clouds into the mid-valley. You may not cloud over from near Salem to southward. It looks like there could be some sun this afternoon. Shows Corvallis at 79. But clouding over in southwest Washington right now, those clouds will hold and temperatures will be 70 to 75. Reminder, the gorge looking for a return of gusty west winds 20 to 40. The Dow's 85. New folks included in that red flag warning for high fire danger. 75 today, 78 tomorrow. Then we're back to the clear skies starting Friday through the weekend where every day is somewhere close to 90. So enjoy today's temperature break, Chris.
Rod, I can see the clouds. Look, this
Clouds.
is I-5. Yep, clouds. If I could take the traffic batter out of the way, you would see them up in the Ridgefield area. This is southbound I-5 up at Ridgefield, zipping right along on that side of town. But as you get farther south, you hit the line up right around Main Street or so. Also running a little thick. Let's switch gears. Over to the Gladstone area, I-205 right now, from about Gladstone to Highway 43 in Westland. Trickling along there at about 16 miles an hour. And again, the trip from Clark County. 205 looks great. I-5 right now, though, about 20 minutes to get you from Main Street south to the Fremont Bridge. Drew, China.
Thank you, Chris. Hundreds of people still missing. We're going to have the latest on the Texas floods in this morning's national headlines coming up here in 90 seconds.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back to Sunrise. The latest update this morning from Texas is not good. More than 170 people still reported missing all across the state's flood zone. NBC's Jay Gray has been on the ground there for days and brings us the latest.
As the massive search effort continues, this stunning revelation from Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Just in the Kerr County area alone, there are 161 people who are known to be missing.
More than 170 unaccounted for across the entire flood zone. This tragedy defined by the staggering numbers, more than 110 dead.
I've lost friends, true friends, and we've lost precious families, precious children. I wish to God there was a way we could have warned them.
There are growing questions, tension, and frustration over whether there was adequate staffing at the National Weather Service and timely warnings before the storm and as the water started to rise. There is no debate about how difficult the cleanup and recovery here will be, or how vital volunteers are as that process begins.
But we had 33 angels show up on Sunday out of nowhere.
Gutting his flood-ravaged home, cutting away soaked sheetrock, clearing out the waterlogged remnants of his life before the storm.
It's just, totally different aspect of volunteering and paying it forward. I don't know where people show up, just wanting to help. That's just amazing.
An effort many consider a responsibility and privilege.
Just to be Texans and just coming together and doing what we need to do.
With this part of Texas battered and hurting. Jay Gray, NBC News, Kerrville.
All right, we have some other national headlines to get to here in your morning rush. Search and rescue efforts also underway in New Mexico after historic flash flooding hit a mountain community about 100 miles south of Albuquerque. Wait till you see this video. Absolutely incredible video from there. An entire house rushing by in those floodwaters. The latest reports from New Mexico say at least 3 people have died. That area was devastated by wildfires just last year. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will let the Trump administration move forward with plans to slash the federal workforce, at least for now. Previously, a California judge ruled that the president would have to work with Congress before making any cuts, but today's Supreme Court ruling clears the way for mass firings of the federal workforce while this case continues its way through the lower courts. And new tariffs are on the way for copper. Yesterday, President Trump announced he will impose a 50% tariff on all copper imports. It's not clear when this new tariff will take effect, but the announcement alone caused copper prices to jump to a record high. The president also says he will soon announce tariffs on pharmaceutical imports at what he called, quote, a very, very high rate, like 200%. And that's a look at your morning rush.
A guy without a shirt on was running this way, chasing these other people.
Coming up in our next half hour, Sunrise residents at this RV park in Sheridan talking about 2 of their neighbors chased across the park by a man with a knife. Why they say what happened next left them unable to sleep. Plus, people in Western Washington will soon pay even more to get food delivered to their door. Sunrise, streaming live at 7 o'clock, continues after this.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days.
We are coming up on 7:29 on your Wednesday morning drive, slow and steady out of Clark County over the Interstate Bridge. That's where the lineup kind of really gets thick, and the end of the line is up towards the Main Street area. So once you get south of Main Street, we are puttering along. That drive now in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge just shy of 25 minutes. Not to be outdone, the Sylvan Hills slow and steady there on Highway 26 and westbound I-84 tight through the Gateway District. Your trip in from Troutdale right now averaging just shy of a half an hour to the I-5 split. Rod?
All right, Chris, looks like most of your cameras still showing sunshine. Here's Portland, clear to the south, increasing cloudiness to some degree showing up to the north. And this is still a morning that we expect eventually to cloud over, and that will hold temperatures down quite a bit cooler than what we have seen. 62 in Portland. There are the mostly clear skies over the valley from Silverton, the Oregon Garden Resort camera there. So mostly cloudy at noon and 70, and then overcast and 75 today at 5 p.m. Should feel very nice outside, and still only 78 tomorrow.
.30 half hour of the Sunrise Show. Take a look at this. This is from New Jersey. A man thought someone was breaking into his home there. Turned out that someone was a something. It was a deer. Deer in the house.
Oh, deer in the house.
Deer in the house. Deer. Look at this. Yeah. So the man filmed the entire experience on his cell phone. You can see he actually, I wouldn't have thought to do this. He actually used his farm experience, they say, to grab the deer by the antlers and lead it out the back door. Experts say this isn't actually all that uncommon in some parts of the country. Deer will sometimes mistake windows for an escape route.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this time around, nobody, including the deer, was seriously hurt. Can you imagine that? I mean, there's no way I'm going up to that deer and grabbing it by its antlers and leading it out.
No. But it's better than a bear. We have those stories all the time.
Okay, yes, you're right. Let's pick in the list of animals that we don't want to appear inside of our home. Yeah.
Snakes.
Bears, snakes, very much near the top. Deer somewhere in the middle.
The deer's cute.
That was kind of cute.
Gators.
I felt bad for him watching him skid around on that hardwood floor too, poor guy.
Deers are cute, I guess, from afar, but no, not inside of my house. Sorry, cuteness level goes away. Rodney?
Yes, my
forecast.
Turn?
Yes, please.
All right, here we go. We have a beautiful morning underway. We do believe that we still will cloud over. It's been a gradual process. The cameras are mostly starting to show some cloudiness as you look up to the north. This is mostly off to the west over the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club. Low of 62. This is going to be the brightest part of our day. So if you're a sun lover, enjoy. Also 62 out of PDX. And again, you can see some cloudiness on the north side, the right side of this view. So let's assume we're going to cloud over between now and noon, be 70 at that time, and then cloudy skies and 75 a little bit later. We hit 90 each of the last 2 days. This is a nice, comfortable break. And we'll be pretty comfortable again tomorrow, Chris.
Oh, that sounds good. All right, let's get you out the door. Quick look at the Sylvan Hill and all 3 lanes slow and go as you climb up the hill, and then you get blasted with the sun right in the face up near Skyline Boulevard. Not to be outdone, westbound 84. This is out near I-205. I-205 is there. Southbound 205 moving from left to right. There's your westbound 84 commute down below, and that's pretty thick. The trip in from Troutdale, just shy of 30 minutes, and again, a solid 20 of that is just between 205 and downtown. Let's switch gears. We'll take you to Clark County. There's I-5 at the SR-14 interchange. Again, approaching the interstate bridge, that's slow and steady. And that lineup actually starts up around Main Street. So once you get from Main Street, it is slow and go the rest of the way into town. Last check, 23 minutes to get you down to the Fremont Bridge. China?
Thank you, Chris. In Yamhill County, witnesses say that they saw a sheriff's deputy shoot and kill a stabbing suspect who authorities say stabbed 2 people at an RV park on Monday.
KGW's Libby Dowsett brings us more on this story from the Valley's Edge RV Park in Sheridan.
For a lot of us elderly people around here, it was scary. We heard the shots, but we didn't know where it came from. At first, we thought they were fireworks.
Neighbors at Valley's Edge RV Park say it was chaos.
A guy without a shirt on was running this way, chasing these other people.
Police say an altercation between a man and some neighbors started the chain of events. Peggy Hughes heard the altercation and saw the man running across the park right toward her 2 roommates sitting outside their RV. What'd you see out the kitchen window?
A bald guy doing this. That's much I can say. Except it hurt to see them like that.
Minutes later, witnesses say a Yamhill County Sheriff's deputy arrived. 10-year-old Daniel, who spoke to us with his family, says he witnessed the deputy shoot the man who stabbed the couple.
The cop got out of his car and put out his gun and said, "Don't move," but the guy kept moving, so the officer shot him like 3 times.
Everybody's pretty worried. I mean, everybody I talked to last night, especially the people here, I mean, they have two toddlers and a 2-month-old.
I saw the 2 victims being taken to the ambulance, and they didn't rush, so I assumed they were stable.
And even some concern for the man shot by the deputy.
I couldn't sleep because of it. And and I went over there and I said a prayer for him.
John Birchfeld says he didn't know those involved, but it's affected him just the same.
You know, when you live in a place like this where it's transient, you don't make it a habit to make friends with your neighbors.
Newburgh-Dundee Police and the Major Crimes Team from Yamhill County are still investigating the details of this case. They hope to review video and get more information released in the near future. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
We're also hearing this morning from the man who was stabbed during a random daytime attack last month in the Montavilla neighborhood of Southeast Portland. He spoke yesterday in court during the suspect's arraignment. This surveillance video shows the attack back on June 26th. That's when investigators say 24-year-old Michael Kashkash stabbed Russell Archer near Southeast 91st and Stark.
He stabbed me, and there was no robbing, no altercation, no communication. I've never seen this man before in my life. He ran up behind me and stabbed me and said, "Don't tell anyone."
I mean, it really is crazy, right? Unprovoked, middle of the day, right there in that neighborhood in Southeast Portland. Kashkash, by the way, pleaded not guilty to charges that include assault. He will remain in jail, though, at least for now.
State officials say bias crime reports have gone down in Oregon, but the latest research on the issue isn't all positive. So here's a breakdown here. Year to year, bias crime reports to state hotline dropped 7% in 2024. That is the first drop since the hotline started in 2020. Reports from African American, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, and Native American people were down 16%, and reports from gender non-conforming people were down 34%. But there is one area where the numbers went up. The people who take these bias crime reports have gotten many more aggressive and abusive callers.
People that aren't really calling the line for any specific purpose other than to harass individuals that are trying to provide a service to Oregonians. We've seen that dramatically increase, and if I remember correctly, it's around 165%.
Now, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield also pointed out that the decrease in bias crime doesn't necessarily mean that fewer crimes are happening. It could just mean that fewer people are filing these reports. But you can report a bias crime by calling the state hotline. That number is 844-924-BIAS. Anyone who calls a hotline also has the option to get help with reporting the crime to law enforcement.
Fire investigators in Gresham are looking into two fires they believe were intentionally set. Both happened yesterday morning. The first one started around 5 o'clock in the morning at the East Portland Moose Lodge. Crews were able to get the flames out quickly there. They also found 2 broken windows. And then 4 hours later, another fire was reported at a nearby church. Windows also broken there. Investigators say they believe the cases are related, and they're asking anyone with information to contact Gresham Fire.
One of TriMet's oldest Max cars is getting a send-off to what you might call its final stop. After more than 38 years and 2 million miles traveled, Max Car 101 will be preserved at the Oregon Electric Railway Museum in Brooks. Yesterday, TriMet held a farewell party for the Max car.
What makes it special, well, first of all, it's car 101, so car 1 out of 26 is also the first car that operated in service on opening day for the Max Light Rail. Portland started with horse cars, then went to cable cars, then went to streetcars, then the streetcars went away. The light rail tells the next generation of the story for future generations.
Yeah, so visitors can ride the car on a mile-long track at the museum's park. And what I think is crazy about this is we're thinking, why are you putting that in a museum? We see that every day. But he was talking about how it was horse cars originally.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the people then were like, why are you putting what we're using right now in a museum?
I'm old enough. I remember pushing people through the streets in a wheelbarrow. I got like 75 cents a ride. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. What year was that? The 1700s or the 1800s?
No, that was early 1900s. Pretty good money.
Didn't you say at one point that you were there for the invention of dirt? Your words, not mine.
Yes, and it was me that said, we're going to need a shovel one day. That was me. I said that.
And the world really has changed because of that dirt. I have to say that. What a difference maker.
Moving on. Good morning to you. The big story today is we've started off with clear skies, but clouds are coming. It's been cloudy up and down the coast. This is the visible satellite picture. So now it's 7:30 in the morning. It's light enough we can see this exact imagery of what's happening. There are the clouds in Kelso. We're starting to see a little pop of clouds in downtown Portland. See the more defined area right here? That's a cool wave that's coming in off the Pacific. So these clouds will eventually march inland, and this will become a cloudy day. Right now, it's gorgeous. Cameras are starting to show, if you look down low, some cloudiness. But here's Shalem Tasting Room out in Sherwood. Just a gorgeous morning at 61 degrees. Here's the Oregon Zoo. Folks, workers, I guess, mostly at this hour out walking around. Going to be an incredibly comfortable day to be out working or playing. 63 up in the West Hills right now. The other temperatures, it's cloudy up in Battleground, 60 degrees. Scappoose, if you're not seeing increasing clouds now, you soon will be. 59 down in Wilsonville. We have early morning sun down in Salem where it's 58. Belly is our KGW dog of the day. Use this email address, dogoftheday@kgw.com. Send us your dog's name and photo. Your dog will become our dog of the day. There's Belly this morning, pretty face. All right, so our forecast map. Look at the cool down. PDX made it just to 90 Monday, just to 90 yesterday. But today with clouds coming and holding this afternoon, only about 75 or so in Portland. This shows upper 70s in Salem. And instead of heat advisories with temperatures reaching 100 in Pilton, only 91 today. There is an afternoon scattered storm threat in south central and southeastern Oregon. It will be dry in central Oregon. And let me get you to your 7-day forecast. So 75 today, clouding over. Tomorrow, clouds to sun and 78. And then after that, it's going to be near 90 for the weekend with basically clear skies. Here's Chris.
And no rain in sight, which is not unusual for July, right? All right, let's take it into Wilsonville. This is probably the slowest bit of freeway in town that I can see right now. That's a snapshot from tripcheck.com, ODOT's website, and you can see there's northbound I-5 near Arndt Road, and that's backing up towards the Donald area. So right now, northbound commuting from Donald north of Wilsonville, puttering along at about 14 miles an hour. So that's one of our big slow spots. We'll switch gears, take you up to Clark County in about a half an hour from now or less. The exit to SR 502, exit 11 northbound will close as WashDOT installs another one of their wrong way driver detection devices. These are capable of seeing and notifying authorities if somebody happens to enter the freeway facing the wrong direction. So that's what they're doing there, and exit 11 will be closed a little bit later on this morning. A little farther south, I-5, of course, puttering along from Main Street down to the Interstate Bridge, and now the trip all the way down to 405 is just shy of 30 minutes. Guys?
Thank you, Chris.
This is how you're going to be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
The Man of Steel, soaring back into theaters this Friday. Coming up here in 2 minutes, we're going to hear from the cast and the creator of the new Superman movie.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
In consumer headlines this morning, DoorDash is once again upping its fees for delivery orders in Seattle. So last year, the company raised prices, citing Seattle City Council's app-based minimum pay ordinance. But Between December of 2023 and December of 2024, DoorDash says orders in Seattle increased over 35%, but its average monthly revenue fell 2%. Now, DoorDash is increasing its prices because of what it calls extreme regulations that make the Western Washington area its most expensive market. But those higher fees have one restaurant owner calling on city council to help, saying that these fees hike is another blow to its business.
They should come up with a plan where maybe there's some sort of a forgiveness for the small businesses and then keep the drivers at a living wage.
Currently, Seattle customers pay an extra $5 fee on delivery app orders. Our sister station Seattle reached out to DoorDash asking how much this new fee will increase. But a spokesperson didn't give specifics, told them that they anticipate a moderate increase here, one they say is flexible enough to ensure the smallest possible impact to local businesses. And speaking of DoorDash, a new bank rate survey found that more than a quarter of Americans say that they have a side hustle. I know Drew has one. You're a candy tester.
What the heck? No.
Candy tester.
No.
M&Ms are his favorite. But the lowest percentage since 2017, down from 36% just last year. And they earn an average of $885 a month. I can tell you Drew doesn't earn that. The median is about $200 a month. The most common side hustles are online sales and freelance writing or graphic design, followed by food delivery, crafts, and pet sitting or dog walking. Drew?
How could I possibly have time for a side hustle when I'm carrying this show every day? Yes. A brand new Superman movie flies into movie theaters all across the U.S. this Friday. Here's a preview. I'm going to take a break right now. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a break from carrying the show. I'm going to let this Hollywood preview happen right before your very eyes.
David Corenswet finds it's not easy being a modern Man of Steel in Superman.
I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe, I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
I think strong characters are all the more exciting and impressive when you see how much of a struggle it is and how much it costs them to be strong.
Hey buddy, eyes up here.
Writer-director James Gunn wondered how the world today would greet the classic hero.
How would the government react if there was a Superman? How comfortable would they be with that, you know?
You seemingly acting as a representative of the United States.
I wasn't representing anybody except for me and doing good.
I think that the government would be really happy with Superman as long as he was towing the line and doing exactly what that specific government thought he should do.
Rachel Brosnahan, the new Lois Lane, says some things never change about Superman.
He inspires community and courage and loyalty, and the fact that when we all work together we can accomplish a lot. And so I feel like we need that perhaps now more than ever.
Your choices, your actions, that's what makes you who you are.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Something really cool about this that I heard is that Christopher Reeve,
yes,
his son, Will Reeve, who is an anchor on ABC News, he is going to have a cameo in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, my knowledge of the Superman movie stopped with the ones with Christopher Reeve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trivia question for you, Rob, before you set us up with the weather.
Yeah.
Superman 3 with Christopher Reeve. Superman 3. His co-star in that movie was a famous comedian at the time. Do you remember the famous comedian from the 1980s who was like the big co-star in Superman 3? And that movie was, I will say, awful. It was not good.
Well, I can't get past Gene Hackman's character.
Do you remember the movie poster had Superman,
Luthor.
Christopher Reeve, carrying this famous comedian?
I'm blanking, man.
It was Richard Pryor.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yes. Now that you mentioned it, I remember instantly.
And it was like, oh, Richard Pryor's going to be in the new
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah.
It was not good.
No.
Here's what I think would be cool. If Superman came back, but he just stayed in one small town. I'm going to pick Baker City.
Okay.
Love Baker City.
Okay.
Going to be out in Baker City for a lunch stop next week, in fact.
Really?
Could you be Superman?
I could not be Superman. There is a height requirement, gosh darn it. But I think that'd be cool. He just stays in his small hometown and just keeps that hometown perfect.
He is the law
Everything
enforcement.
evil and bad from happening just to that small town.
What happens to the sheriffs and sheriff's deputies and things of that nature?
They get to take vacation, but they're fine because there's nothing to worry about.
Okay.
This is a good news story, Drew.
All figured
This would
out.
be a good news movie. All right. Of course, you have to have something bad happen or nobody goes to see the movie, right? Yeah, that's kind of the way that works. All right, here we have the clouds coming in. We are now seeing them in downtown Portland starting to come in. So the headline today is, I know it's been clear early, perhaps still clear where you are, but most of us are going to cloud over this morning here on the west side, stay that way, and have highs in the 70s. We are watching red flag warnings or high fire weather warnings for high fire danger today. Up north, this is strictly due to wind. It'll be dry, but west winds, because of cooler weather marching in, start to blow and gust 30 to 40 miles per hour. So if something sparks, it would quickly spread. All right, down here, Lakeview up into parts of Baker County and over toward Boise. This is fire danger because of potential fire starts from lightning activity today. So the gorge, southeastern Oregon, gusty west winds coming out of the gorge into the basin, 30 to 40, the possible dry lightning, especially in eastern Oregon. But there will be futurecasters showing some storms with some rain. This at later this afternoon shows Hood River gusting to 30, Lisle 36, Arlington 36 mile per hour winds coming in directly from the west. Again, that's the impact of the cooler weather that we're noticing statewide today. I mean, Pelton only about 90 today. You folks were 100 yesterday. Here are the clouds up and down the west side at noon today, and then holding on from Portland up to Seattle throughout the day. And you saw some thunderstorms in parts of eastern Oregon. Early clouds on Thursday go away. We get sun, and then eventually we'll just clear out and get back to clear skies on Friday. Here are the clouds. On sunrise about 2 hours ago, we started to call the clouds. We did that on live television at the time. And now here they are, the clouds. So they have responded. They're coming in from the north. We're at 62 degrees. It's 60 up in Kelso. It's been overcast most of the morning. It's still clear, though, in Bend, 68, and clear out in John Day, 64. The coast, certainly the north coast, Tillamook, Clatsop counties will not see any sun today. Lincoln County might see some partial clearing later today. This shows Newport 60, Astoria 62, generally a fog to cloudy day at the beach. Northwest winds 5 to 15. Increasing cloud cover in Salem, McMinnville, and Corvallis. I'm not sure if you cloud over and stay cloudy. You might get some afternoon clearing. You're still generally expected to stay in the upper 70s. An overcast day, though, in southwest Washington, Vancouver 75, Battleground 74, only 70 up in Longview. So here's our two comfortable days. 75 today, early clouds of sun tomorrow, 78. And then we clear out starting Friday, and we'll be clear throughout the weekend. I mean, I've got 90, 88, 92, 90, 94. So looks like a run of warm to hot weather as we get rolling into your weekend. Chris is checking the traffic for us.
And it is that time of the morning where it's getting slow everywhere. So let's go ahead and let's start off with the drive times. On the west side, nearly 30 minutes gets in from Hillsborough, Brookwood Parkway to the I-5 split. Over on the east side, westbound I-84 puttering along a little bit, especially once you get to 205. 31 minutes gets in from Troutdale. And a couple of slow spots along I-5, first near Capitol Highway. There's the live look. That's one of the highest spots on I-5, by the way. This is up around like 600 feet. So the drivers are coming up over that hill near PCC Sylvania, and then they get blasted with the sun right in their face, right? We'll switch gears. It's also pretty thick north from Donald to Wilsonville. I-5 northbound traffic puttering along over the Boone Bridge at about 12 miles an hour. Taking over to the east side, Clackamas County, southbound 205, bunched up from Gladstone to Westland. That's a 13-mile-an-hour commute from right there down to Highway 43. And at last check, the trip from Clark County is not bad on I-205, but the I-5 drive, of course, slow and steady from Main Street. China, right now, that's about a 30-minute commute to get you down to the Fremont Bridge.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come on Sunrise,
It
passengers.
was very smooth, actually, and we didn't even have to take our shoes off.
They were excited. I was excited. Passengers at PDX, they're reacting to the new TSA rule change that will allow you to keep your shoes on. Don't go anywhere. Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues after this.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back to Sunrise. We have more this morning, more on the big news that we first brought you yesterday here on the Sunrise Show. The news is this. You no longer have to take off your shoes when going through TSA checkpoints.
Thank goodness. KGW's Devin Haskins went to PDX to see how travelers feel about the new policy.
If there's one thing that passengers hate about the security checkpoints,
potentially long lines, missing your flight.
All right, maybe there's two.
I mean, it's annoying to take technology out.
Okay, I'll just say it. It's also the shoes.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
For nearly 2 decades, it's been a common rule when flying. Take off your shoes, put them in the bin, and then walk through security.
I think it's silly. I think it's really silly.
What used to be a perk of TSA PreCheck is now available to everyone. Your shoes stay on.
Oh, sweet. That's great news.
Passengers we talked with loved the new rule.
I think it'll make everything a lot easier and smoother.
I also heard from passengers flying into PDX about their TSA experience.
It was very smooth, actually, and we didn't even have to take our shoes off, and it was a lot easier than past times.
The rule is because of what happened back in 2001. A man was arrested for trying to set off a bomb in his shoes on a flight to Miami. TSA implemented the rule in 2006. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says since then, technology has changed.
We are very confident that we can continue to provide hospitality to folks and for American travelers and for those visiting our country while maintaining the same standard of security for passengers and for our homeland.
And for many flyers, they said it's about time.
Because we're already going through the scanner, I don't understand what it is that taking the shoes off is supposed to achieve that going through the full body scan is not going to also achieve.
And while we saw many people today walk through security keeping their shoes on, for some, old habits are going to be hard to break.
The Secretary Noem said there could be times when passengers do need to remove their shoes and go through screening like the old way. She also said that they would take a look at some of the other screening rules and see if those would be changed. But right now, she said, there are no new announcements to be made. At PDX, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
And KGW News at Sunrise continues live at 8 o'clock on KGW+. And coming up next hour, layoffs hit multiple organizations in Oregon. So we take a look at how many people are facing cuts and who's going to be impacted.
We'll also have the latest on the search for the Washington father who's accused of murdering his 3 young daughters. A woman says that she may have seen him weeks ago in Idaho. Again, that story coming your way at the top of the hour right here on KGW+.